What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. In this one, we're talking about captaincy ahead of Game Week 4. There's quite a lot of players to choose from this week. Lots of premium options in particular, which we don't usually get. So we're going to go through all them as normal, talk about who I think is the best one, who I'm looking at captaining, and all that good stuff. So if you enjoy it, give it a like and hit that subscribe button. Just really quickly, I am putting this out before the press conferences because I will do another video tonight talking through some last-minute thoughts on Wildcard. If you want to see my written thoughts on that, I've done an 888 article, which I'll link in the description below if you want to see some of my wildcard thoughts, even if you're kind of on the fence. If you haven't hit the button, it might not be too late. But anyway, let's talk about captaincy for now and we'll jump into it. So let's kick off with Liverpool, right? Against Leeds away. Now, it is an away game, not at home. I don't think that makes a massive difference in this kind of game where we know that Leeds are going to attack. We know that Liverpool have got the players and the skill and the talent to take advantage of those gaps that are going to be left. And they will get opportunities in front of goal, right? So this is a good fixture. Kind of been forgotten a little bit about. It feels like all the talk has been about Lukaku and Ronaldo so much that Salah has been a little bit forgotten about. But let's talk about him. These are the stats on screen for the season so far. This is expected goals, expected assists, and expected goal involvement per 90 minutes. Without penalties included. So you can already see just how good Jota and Mane are. Now, usually with Jota, it comes with the caveat that he's not going to necessarily play 90 minutes. And he still might not. But Firmino is not going to play in this game. We know that. Forget about all the Brazil stuff. He's just ruled out anyway because of injury. I don't know how long that is yet because I'm doing this before the press conferences. But Jota looks like a really good option. So if you wanted an outside captaincy pick this week, Mane and Jota, they're always good options. The problem with Salah is he has those penalties. So if he gets one, if you go for Mane or Jota over Salah and there's no penalties involved, you could look like a genius. As soon as there starts to be penalties, then you start to feel... It's not like you look like an idiot, but it's just like it's overthinking, right? So Salah is still the standout. Let's not go against that. Even with the stats looking a little bit lower in terms of goal threat, we're only 3 games into the season, right? So Salah's the standout option. But if you want to go a bit different, I think Mane and Jota are both good for this. In terms of Leeds, I was looking at the numbers. So already this season, they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th for expected goals conceded. We're only 3 games in, I know. But last year, they were the 3rd worst team for expected goals conceded. So nothing's really changed in the defence. Right? All this talk about, Llorente being back, and then once he's got a settled centre-back partnership, it'll all be better. Leeds are just a team that give up chances against big sides. I think the only kind of mark you can put against Liverpool in this that it's not at Anfield. If it was, then I think Salah would be the absolute standout captaincy this week. Because it's away, you could say that Lukaku and Ronaldo have a really good opportunity to outscore them. Another thing to say about these 3 versus some of the other players that we're going to talk about is they've had pretty good minutes already in both pre-season. Liverpool started their pre-season nice and early with a lot of their big hitters available. Not Jota, but Mane and Salah were available early. And they've played good minutes so far already. So Salah and Mane have obviously played. Jota's played a couple of games too. And I believe he came on against Chelsea as well. So good minutes in their legs against a team that like to concede chances. You could say because of that, Salah and co are the best captains this week, and Salah could be the standout just because there's no real worry about minutes, and minutes are obviously king. So we know he's going to be on the pitch. We know he's playing against a team that's going to concede a lot of goals. So I would possibly argue that Salah could be seen as the best option because of that. But there's plenty of other options, so let's talk about Man United. So no stats yet for Ronaldo this season, of course, but we kind of know he's pretty good at football, right? So we're not really worried about the fact that he hasn't played for Man United yet. Let me talk about saying that Salah could be seen as the standout. I think if right now you said to me, Salah's going to play 90 minutes, Ronaldo's going to play 90 minutes, they're both going to be fully fit, then I would argue that Ronaldo is the better option for this week. I think Leeds is a good fixture. Newcastle is just as good. They've been really poor so far this season. They were also a good defence to target last season. So it's not like, sometimes you see a team where they're really poor or really good one season, and it's the complete opposite after 3 games, and you're unsure about whether or not they've really turned things around or they've really become much worse. Look at Arsenal, for example. Defence was pretty good last year. It wasn't bad. It wasn't like Chelsea, Man City levels, but it was okay. Now it's looking really poor, and I'm questioning, are they really that bad, or has it just been a couple of really, poor games for them, and they're going to turn it around for the next few fixtures? With Newcastle, they're just bad. They're just a bad defence. So Ronaldo is going to start. Right? I've got a slight doubt about it. I have very, very few doubts. I'm like 99.99% sure that he's going to start. He even made a joke in an interview about how he's going to be pressuring Solskjaer to start him, right? I just think they're hyping it up so much. This is such a big transfer in general, but also for Man United. It's a huge transfer. he's going to start that game, right? Whether or not he'll last 90 minutes, that's up for debate, but he's just one of those players that's usually in good physical fitness, like ready to play matches. So he's also played for Portugal. I don't really see any issues. The fact that it's at Old Trafford as well, that it's not an away game, I think is a pretty big factor. And if anyone's going to be going out to try and score in this game, it's going to be him. So I think him and Salah is super close, and it's almost in kind of coin toss territory. I nearly got that wrong. And to the point where I am probably going to captain Ronaldo this week. Now, part of that is kind of biased because I'm a Man United fan. I'm going to be watching the game. I want to make sure that I've got involvement in that game, and captaincy kind of makes it a little bit more interesting as well. It's obviously going to be an interesting game anyway, but I'm talking from an FPL point of view. So I think it's that close. I'm going to take the risk that one of the greatest goal scorers of all time can score against Newcastle United. And I think he's going to get penalties as well. And so that kind of sways it towards there's always going to be a chance that he's got, another avenue for goals as well. So I think he's probably going to be my captain. I might switch back to Salah if there's any doubts about Ronaldo starting. But again, if it was flipped, if this was an opening game for Ronaldo against Newcastle away and Salah was Leeds at home, I'd probably go for Salah. It's just one of those super close decisions where I probably will let the home or away thing affect my decision. If I didn't have Ronaldo, or I didn't want to go for him, Salah's a perfectly good captain, like a really good captain this week. I can't kind of overstate that enough, right? There's nothing wrong with Salah at all. In terms of other options, I just think unless you've only got Fernandes as your only big hitter this week, I just don't think you captain him. We obviously don't know a lot about how Man United are going to play with Ronaldo in the side, but I actually think we're going to just play the same, apart from we're going to have a number 9 that doesn't want to press, doesn't want to move as much. He's just going to stay in the box, and we're going to pump crosses and passes into him. I think the rest of the setup kind of stays the same. So Fernandes will get opportunities to get in the box. He will be creating chances, but once you take penalties away, there is obviously that lack of faith in the captaincy. He's still got 23 returns, I think it was, last year without penalties, but he did get a majority of assists rather than goals, and therefore they are worth less points. So I think Fernandes is not a great captain now. It's not when you've got like Lukaku, Ronaldo and Salah all as options, who most people will have. Not many people are just going to have Fernandes. So I wouldn't look to captain him or Greenwood. Both okay options, but for captaincy, it's got to be Ronaldo. Just ahead of Salah for me, but it is super close. So it sounds weird to say, but I almost feel like we're in a bit of differential territory when it comes to talking about Chelsea options as captains. Again, like I've put Mount and Havertz on the screen. You're not captaining them unless you want to take a bit of a punt. The key man to look out here is Lukaku. Now, he's only played a couple of games, but looking at those numbers already, they're pretty incredible. They will drop down as the season goes on, but we know he's a world-class striker, one of the best in the world, and he's got a really good fixture this week at Aston Villa at home. I know we talk a lot about penalties, and the problem with them is you can never predict when they're going to happen, but they are, especially with all these close calls. Like, you're looking at Lukaku as a great option, but then you're also looking at him versus Ronaldo versus Salah. So penalties are big, and we don't know if he's going to get them. I've actually got, like, if I had to put money down, I'd say I'm like 60-40 in favour of thinking that he's going to get penalties. Jorginho's missed quite a few. I think having your main striker, like, goals are just confidence boosters for strikers. So to get easy goals from penalties, and he's got a pretty good record as well, I think he possibly will get them. I don't know if we can say that 100%, but I'm kind of like 60-40, like I said. It is a... punt is definitely the wrong word, but I think Lukaku captainers will be going against the crowd. Most people are going to captain Ronaldo or Salah, in my opinion, this week. But I think if you're going to go against them, it's not a bad week to do it. Villa are going to be without Buendia. I know he's not a defender, but as I've said a lot of the times, once you've got an attacker that's maybe going to keep the ball or basically create something in attack, once you're attacking, you're not having to defend, right? Attack is the best form of defence. What a cliche. So Buendia's not going to be there. Martinez is also not going to be there. Now, I do think we overhype how bad a team becomes when they change goalkeeper, because obviously, a lot of defence is not just what the goalkeeper does, it's also what the players in front do. But Villa defence isn't that watertight. Like, I was looking so far this season, I think they're kind of middle of the road. To be fair, expected goals conceded, they're actually slightly better than Man United, for example. So they're kind of middle of the road. They've done okay, but they have had 3 really good fixtures as well, which is worth noting. And last year, I think they were the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th, 8th worst team. So they were in the bottom half for defence. And I think Martinez was a big factor in the amount of clean sheets they got. He made a lot of saves. So although I wouldn't overhype the fact that Martinez is missing, it is a factor in thinking about captaincy. So if you wanted to go for Lukaku, I don't think it's a bad decision. I think if he hasn't got penalties, and Ronaldo and Salah do, and they've also got really good fixtures, I do think they're slightly ahead of Lukaku. But if you wanted to go for him against Villa at home, I mean, that is a good fixture. Chelsea will create a lot of chances. He will be at the front, getting on the end of those chances, and we know he's a great striker. So I think he's a good captaincy option. I don't think he's as good as Ronaldo or Salah, but he's decent. So I'm mixing up the captaincy format a little bit again, right? So rather than putting up all the other matches and talking through every other single possible option that could be a captain, I've just gone for the 3 next best options, I would say, right? So Kane, Aubameyang, and Antonio. Anyone that I've not mentioned doesn't mean they're not a good option, just that I think they're quite far down the list of captains this week, right? So let's start with Harry Kane. I mean, again, almost been forgotten about, right? Everyone's going for Lukaku or Ronaldo. I mean, Kane's got Crystal Palace. Again, it is an away game, so you could put a slight mark against them for that. But this is going to be a game where I think Spurs have a lot of the ball. I think Crystal Palace are still finding their feet. They have made some good transfers. Like Anderson in defence is a really good option. I think it's centre back for them, not necessarily from an FPL point of view. But it's still a lot to kind of work together with a new manager as well. And I think Spurs will take advantage of that. And I think if anything, having more of the ball will possibly help Spurs. Obviously, they've got to create something then. They can't go on the counter. But it does mean Kane shouldn't necessarily have to drop as deep and could be in and around the box a little bit more. And we know he likes to take a shot. Limited minutes, obviously, so take the numbers on screen with a pinch of salt. But he is posting some decent numbers already, and I would expect that expected goals. To go up a little bit. And obviously, he's got penalties as well. So, again, if you wanted to captain Kane, great option. Is he as good as Lukaku, Salah, or Ronaldo? No, not quite. But he's not a bad option, right? And if you're going differential, if your differential is Harry Kane against Crystal Palace, really poor defence last season, I'm not sure they're going to completely turn it around just yet. That's a great option. That's a great differential. Same with Aubameyang. I mean, his numbers are awful, but he's played really limited minutes. Obviously, Arsenal were down to 10 men against Man City as well, and he hardly played in the previous 2 games. So you would expect him to play against Norwich. If Arsenal were going to turn it around, what a match to do that in. We saw Man City kind of tear Norwich apart. I'm not saying Arsenal were that good, but they are going to get opportunities. And look, if you're someone that wants to go for an aggressive differential punt, then I think Aubameyang is a great option this week. I don't see why he wouldn't start against Norwich. They're going to give up plenty of chances. He should be on penalties as well. Aubameyang is a really good option this week. It just there's obviously a difference in conversation, right? If you're talking about whether to bring him in, like if you don't already own him and you're not like making an aggressive play because you're wildcarding in game week 5 or something, that's a different conversation because he takes up a forward spot. There's loads of good premiums, there's loads of good mid-price players. But if we're talking about people who've got Aubameyang in their teams already, then you have to say he's a good captain option. Norwich will give up chances. And Antonio, how can we forget about him? He has been fantastic this season. Those stats are ridiculous. Yes, they will come down, but we know in terms of kind of players outside the premiums, he is one of those that keeps posting consistent premium stats. And so for Southampton away, again, he's a really good option, but he may not have penalties. It is an away game. I do wonder slightly what West Ham might do with European matches starting as well. Will they change things up? Will they start resting players a little bit earlier? They're just slight concerns in my mind. I don't think they're major issues. Like, if you want to captain Antonio, he's a good option this week against a poor Southampton team. But I don't think West Ham are going to go and score loads of goals. And so you need him to be involved quite heavily in the ones they do score. And I just think in a week where there's so many other options that you could go for, those slight concerns about minutes and stuff like that because of Europe, like if they're kind of 2-0 up, will they start to rest players? Will that change the dynamic of the game? Will they create as many chances? I don't know. Maybe I'm just looking for reasons not to captain him. But those slight doubts in a week where there's so many other options, I just think great if you got the points from him last week. But this week again, Salah, Ronaldo, Lukaku, Kane. There's just so many options. I don't think Aubameyang is kind of in the top 3 or possibly even in the top 5 this week. So let me know below, who are you captaining? If you're bringing in Ronaldo, are you giving him the armband as well? Or is that just a risk too far because of his minutes? And you just default into Salah, maybe going for Lukaku, Kane, Aubameyang punt? Who's sticking with Antonio after his great score last week? Let me know in the comments below. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it and hit that subscribe button if you're new around here. We are pushing towards 250,000, by the way. We're already on 228k. That is ridiculous. A quarter 250,000 by the end of the season would be ridiculous, right? So hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And also check out Patreon. Big shout out to Gunnar, B.O., Jennifer, Baxter R, and Michael M, who have all signed up since the last video. If you sign up to what I think is the top tier now on Patreon, there's a mini league, which if you're signed up before the Game Week 4 deadline, you'll get an invite for. And there's a few prizes on offer. So you get the Mind Game book, mug, glass, a pint glass, t-shirt as well. And also you get a picture by FPL Doodles emailed to you to do what you like. Print it out, frame it, whatever you might want. Obviously, I had to go for Mikel Antonio. So if you want to check all that out, link in the description to go. Thanks, description below. Thanks again to everyone that signed up. I will leave it there. Thank you for watching. I'll be back tonight with another video, probably around 6 or 7 o'clock. Just some last minute thoughts on wildcards, decisions, questions that people have got. And then we'll be deadline stream tomorrow. And tomorrow as well, just really quickly, I'm doing a watch long, the first watch long of the season at 3 p.m. I'm going to be able to watch the Man United game live because it's on live at 3 o'clock in Ireland. So I'm watching that and obviously covering all the other scores and stuff as well. Really cool layout. So make sure to check that out. I'll leave it there. See you later on. Bye.